All right, everybody, welcome to another edition. All right, can you guys hear me now? Hold on. Can anyone hear me? Hold on. Oh, wait, I think you guys can hear me now. Let's go! All right. You guys can hear me, right? All right. All right, good. All right, cool. Now I'm listening to myself on. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was hella awkward. But you know what? Hey, the show goes on. I was basically just giving mad flowers to Jeff. And basically what I was trying to say is this is the first sponsor of the show. We don't necessarily need to do this. Well, we do need to do sponsors, but we're very selective. And one of the things that we're going to be doing differently with our sponsors is not just get a banner. That's great. But multiple appearances per every week. We're going to do a segment for the sponsor. In this case, in this case, we're going to do the sponsors for Swap Royale. We're going to dive deep because attention. We live in an attention game. The more people talk about it, the more people see the gameplay, the aspects. That's how you get into the mind share of everyone. So we're looking forward to that. Trading Tulips, appreciate you. Shout out to Trading Tulips, man. Let's fucking go. If you guys haven't followed Trading Tulips and what he's doing with virtuals and the virtuals ecosystem, the man is crushing it. Literally crushing it. And that's another thing too. Like if you come on my show, like I'm generally rooting for you guys. Like I am absolutely rooting for the projects to just pump. Sybil is such a good project. I'm not just saying that, bro, because you're watching right now. It's a really good project, and it's really impressive to see kind of like how far you're coming. The community is just so happy to see it. So it's really good to see. And like I said, you come on my show, you now have a brand evangelist in your boy Bill. So shout out to you. All right. I was going to say about stocks. One thing I'll say before, we get Jeff on, and shout out to the 433 people tuning in. We have a streak going, guys, at least 2,000 per episode. Those are pretty good numbers right now, especially in crypto land, on base especially. So let's make me proud. Let's make my mom proud. 2,000, or else she'll think I'm a loser. So keep it going. If you haven't done so already, reshare this to people that are tuning in. All right. I do want to say, though, I mean, just look at this. This is pain, bro. This is absolutely pain. If you haven't seen this, rip to my non-stock investing friends, such as myself. I've been so crypto trenches that I've literally missed out on generational wealth. Like, look at this thing. Like, what? Like, what the? Like, are you serious? I literally have, in the entire 2025, I've faded stocks. For the longest time in the U.S. market, people were like, stocks 10% a year. Congrats. Joke's on me, because I didn't realize that the AI sector is obviously, I mean, listen, obviously we all know the AI sector is only going to get stronger and stronger. Like, I'm creating my show based on AI, consumer apps, tech, on-chain, because I believe robotics, I like robotics too. Those are the narratives that are going to carry, things going forward. What I didn't realize, though, is the stock market can produce meme-like gains. This is SanDisk. In September 25, not that long ago, less than a year, this thing was trading at $60. Bro, today it hit $1,262. Like, what? This is like straight up a meme coin. This was about a 20x move since September. But dude, you could have bought this thing early April at $30. What does that gain? A 40x, a liquid 40x. And so I laugh at people when they think, oh, we're in a bear market. I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. Or I kind of like laugh when people are like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to 50K. I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. Liquidity to me is shown that risk appetite's here. This is not how a market acts, where it's like a bearish market. So yeah, anyways, I just want to say rip to me and to my non-stock investor friends. But you know what? Crypto, baby. Crypto is going to catch a bid. I truly believe that. I truly, truly fucking believe that. But anyways, I digress. Stock market being good, I think, is bullish for Bitcoin and the assets, and especially those AI, robotics, and consumer apps, in my opinion, are the three best narratives to invest in. So yada, yada, yada. You guys are like, all right, bro, that's cool. Let's bring on Jeff. I want to hear about Swap Royale. And you know what? I do too. Jeff, my friend, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
Bill, how we doing, my man?
Brother, I got one less gray hair today. Sometimes my grays just kind of multiply, but today I noticed it hasn't gone. So I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we love to hear. That's awesome.
Dude, talk to us. So, Jeff, listen, welcome to the Late Night on Base. As I said in the opening monologue, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for Swap Royale, and I appreciate it that you guys are the official sponsor for the show for the month of May. And I'm really excited to kind of showcase you, like I said. We have the banner, but what I'm really excited about is the multi-week streams where we're going to talk deeper. So this episode will be on Spotify. Today's episode, I want to just focus on, what you're building and all that stuff. So, Jeff, right now we have 829, 830 viewers. We're going to at least have 2K. So if you don't mind, Jeff, talk to me. What is Swap Royale?
Yeah, Swap Royale is where the next generation is going to compete in the markets. It's essentially large scale, real trading contest. Everyone enters with the same buy-in, same starts with the same virtual portfolio and has the same set number of trades. And they trade from the same asset universe. And this can be between crypto, stocks, forex, metals, energy, all at real-time prices. And the top finishers, they split the prize pool. And one of the problems we've seen is how people do love these large format trading contests with stuff like, perp markets when they have a 10,000 trading contest. But the problem we've seen is a lot of these are based on pure volume and P&L. So you're really pricing out the small to medium account who's sure they're on the leaderboard, but they're not competing in a way where it's actually engaging. They don't actually feel like they have a chance. So essentially our model is users pay a set entry fee, let's say $10. And then everybody, if there's 1,000 entries in that contest, everybody starts with 100,000 virtual portfolio. They manage that portfolio. And then at the end of the contest period, you're ranked by how your portfolio does.
Interesting. Okay. So walk me through, because now we're in this AI revolution, AI thing where, builders have the tools available for them to build and to create the ideas. Now, you've came up with this idea of Swap Royale. Let's just focus before we get into the AI aspect. Why? You could be doing anything and you have a successful resume. You've done very well for yourself. You could be doing literally anything. You can literally be out of the beach right now. Mai Tais, pina coladas. Pina coladas are very good, by the way, for those that don't know. Supremely good. Terrible for your health. But you chose to build and create what you think is going to be the number one consumer app on base. Simple question to use. Why?
I think crypto 2.5, abstracting that Web3 experience is where that's how you bring the next billion people on chain. It's not going to be another, Olympus sort of Ponzi scheme that, again, I work, but, that sort of Ohm 3.3, which again is DeFi 2021. It's a completely different industry we're in now. It's gearing towards these consumer apps such as Moonshot. We see apps like FOMO, Legend Trade. They just launched their app as well. And people love this, being able to trade on, the mobile experience without needing, especially retail, especially normies, without needing to learn about private keys or without any of that stuff. So we're in a pivotal point now where that shift of getting the next, 100 million retail users on chain is easy, because back in 2021 you couldn't really do that. People needed MetaMask. These embedded wallets weren't really available, but now the infrastructure is there where you can build this out and try new stuff out. And you hit on the AI. I think the great thing about that is you can really build out. People in general can really build out their products that they have in their mind, but at a lot lower cost. So at that point, all of any sort of money that's raised or bootstrapped can really go towards marketing, distribution, customer acquisition, which makes it a lot more efficient and makes it a lot more fun and a lot easier to build up these apps, because again, you can just spend the money that's allocated towards the project for acquiring customers, for building out the user base.
Very interesting points. So let's, with the consumer app angle, because obviously consumer apps are some of the things I love highlighting. And I do agree that this is the age where those that figure out distribution and get people to understand their product, and if they have a good product, will win. What do you see? So in the consumer era, you're right to, or consumer app industry, you're right to point out FOMO as one of the big winners in the crypto world, especially. What about, in your opinion, what is a must-have for consumer app to succeed? Do you think it's the social element where people are talking to one another? Do you think there's something else that a consumer app must have for it to succeed? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's three things. I think the first is definitely that social aspect where, especially this younger generation, like the Gen Z, they seek social, they seek entertainment, they seek engagement, they seek a sense of community. So, inherently, any app that has that, people, love to flock to, as well as, the second thing I think, in the trading space is the gamification of trading. We see stuff with the ripping packs and, that experience of essentially trading like that, we see these contests where you are ranked on a leaderboard. You see with Duolingo and a lot of these typical consumer apps, they're adding in the gamification of the achievements. People want to feel that reward system. And then the third thing for consumer trading app, I would say, is the low to moderate downside for that uncapped large upside. I think that's what why people flock towards meme coins, why people flock towards perps, parlays on the casino side, prediction markets. They can get that low to moderate downside of a $50 10-leg parlay to win $5,000, or $100 on a 200x perp, and you have essentially 20K of exposure with that low downside. So I feel like it's those three pillars that people will go towards. And an app like FOMO, you hit it on the head there, where they have all three. Obviously, you can trade these meme coins. You have that social aspect as well as the gamification of a leaderboard there, and they've been absolutely killing it.
Yeah, I think they absolutely have been killing it. I think that their use case has been something that a lot of other apps are starting to take note. Like Base app, for instance, is highly utilizing what FOMO's done. I think Farcaster, I think it all stems from social interaction and leaderboards. I think a leaderboard is extremely important. People want to compete. People want to test themselves and win prizes. And I know you guys offer a lot of prizes. Real quick though, before we get into that, for those that want to, and like I said, we're going to be putting you guys, Swap Royale, on the spotlight quite a bit for the next month. But for those that want to get started, top left-hand corner, there's a QR code. Please click it. If you do click it, it'll take you to the app, I believe, to download. And you can start competing, trading, and winning right away. So we'll be playing this on literally every show. So you're stuck with us, baby. You're stuck with us. Do so as well. Just point your camera. But while I see Big D Senpai on, so let's bring him on. Big D, how you doing, man?
Hey, Bill, how are you, sir? I'm really well, thanks. How about you?
Dude, can't complain except for the audio issues. Damn, that was not that killed my mojo, but we fixed it, baby. We fixed it.
It's nothing. It's nothing. You looked great talking, even if I couldn't hear you. So
hey, you know what? If you're a lip reader, I was spitting fire. If you weren't a lip reader, it was still fire.
But, I was picking up on the vibes. Yeah, picking up on the vibes.
That's what it's about. Shout out to the 1,567 people tuning in. We got 2,000. I think we're gonna hit it. I'll maybe go 2,500. Let's go. I'm
love
greedy.
it.
I'm a greedy host. So let's talk, Big D. What about from your perspective, what excites you about Swap Royale?
Yeah, I'm with Jeff. I think I kind of saw maybe the same thing right away when Jeff first introduced me to Swap Royale. That is his main thesis. Just lately, I've been really impressed by FOMO, like he was talking about. It just really done an awesome job of dealing with multiple chains and multiple wallets and lots of confusing crypto things. It just kind of bundles everything together as an account, makes it really easy to log in, log out. I am very bullish on anything that obscures away the traditional crypto rails. I think, just like Jeff said, that is how we get the next billion people on chain. And so when Jeff came to me with Swap Royale, I just noticed how really incredibly well built out it was, even though it was just him building it. It was so very impressive work. Like he said, AI, I think, has helped a lot in the front end stuff. I'm really excited to see this bring on people I never would have thought would have engaged with crypto before. That's my goal, I think, with this.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the biggest, the three narratives I like personally the most going forward in 2026 are the agentics. I believe AI agents, I believe in robots, and I believe in consumer apps. I think those three are the most relevant of what's going on. And one thing I love about consumer apps, it's more so than agents, it's more relatable and understandable to the normal world. Still agents, and that my job is on these shows to kind of simplify agents and robots because it's a very complex topic. But consumer apps is very simple. If you have fun, you create a good user experience, people will come back. And on-chain, and especially Base, needs that go-to consumer app. So, Jeff, let me ask you, what is your strategy to target the non-crypto natives? Because you'll get exposure to the crypto land, but the ones that are outside who may have never heard of on-chain or on Base, how do you plan to capture their attention?
Yeah, there's definitely a few ways there. The first is UGC content, doing mass UGC campaigns on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, where essentially just throwing 10 to 20 plus creators, having them post video each day, just the typical UGC campaigns we see from these web 2 apps when they do it. The idea being putting it out there to that typical user who sorry, wait, can you hear me? I got a chat saying, okay, awesome. Just wanted to confirm. But yeah, no, just getting it out there to the Fin TikTok, the Wall Street bets, that sort of that Gen Z that lives on TikTok might not necessarily be on crypto Twitter. They understand crypto. They know about Bitcoin, they know about stocks, but like we said earlier, they might not necessarily have enough money to feel like they can get ahead. So they're going, they have that sense of financial nihilism, that feeling of that. And they're going towards stuff like prediction markets, parlays, meme coins, whatever it might be. So essentially, the one thing we're trying to do, just like how poker in the early 2000s had the poker boom via Chris Moneymaker, winning, and then that onboarded, a ton of people onto poker, essentially have it where we orchestrate, if we can not orchestrate, but essentially set the rails where we can have that similar event for these influencers where, hey, it doesn't need to be 10,000 or, in his case, buying in a satellite to win millions of dollars. It can be a $10 to win 3,000. And if the right, group of people who have social presence win that within a week, that'll kind of start that virality of people, being, oh, wow, I can do, $10 to $3,000, as it scales, whatever it might be. So that's one side there. It's also, a lot of stuff like this with the podcast, and then doing these mass clipping campaigns via platforms like Clipstake, because I'm sure we know that especially Gen Z, the attention span's shorter. I think it might be like 20 to 30 seconds you have, so that they really want to see that quick hit, and stuff like clipping just is able to get out those sound bites in a way for people to digest them easily. And we see huge, obviously streamers doing the clippings. A lot of I think it's an underserved thing that especially in Web3 that's not utilized. I don't think clipping is utilized nearly as much as it could be, but I definitely think it's starting to change with platforms like Clipstake.
Yeah, I think from the perspective of like even just what normal world consumes is clips, man. Clips are the most important thing. I would argue even more important than UGC content. That is important too, but clips can create the viral moment where people automatically fall in love of what's going on. Like, for instance, the Kentucky Derby, for those that don't know, is a horse racing event. That was this weekend. There was if you're into horse racing, it's cool. I'm not, but there was a viral clip that went by from the winner of some lady who's like a trainer of the horse that won, that was literally dead last, ends up winning, and it's like a clip of her like reacting, and she's just like so over the moon happy. That clip went viral. And so what happens is when you have those clips go viral, then people automatically are more interested in your product. They check it out. And I think the name of the game is you don't know which is going to be the most viral thing. So I agree with you. I think clipping, and that's one of the things like we'll do on the show, like when we do the gameplay, clip as much as you can to let people, because that's how they consume. And I think maybe that's a Gen Z thing. I don't know. Do you think that's a sub product of the age we're in?
I definitely think it is. Just again, the quick hits of Instagram Reels. We see all these platforms, added Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Reels, obviously TikTok. We have the X Reels as well. So I definitely feel like in that environment of 30, 15 to 30 second, max maybe a minute, right? If it's something that's really engaging off the bat, where that's what's gonna really maximize distribution and get the most eyeballs on. It's just about catching that clippable moment quickly and being able to really break it down.
Absolutely. And right now, actually, let me ask you, Big D, like, what are your thoughts on clipping as a go-to market strategy? Do you think it's imperative or just nice to have?
I think these days you can't get away with not having it. Yeah, and sorry, I couldn't hear Jeff during his portion, so I hope I don't cover anything that goes over what he said too. But I agree. You really can't get away with not clipping these days, and it's interesting that this whole like industry and world has popped up where you have like these companies like Clipstake that connect you with the clippers, and entire accounts whose whole thing is clipping that have more followers than the people that they're clipping. You know what I mean? It's definitely blown up in a way that you can't really deny it now. I mean, you've seen the power of it in crypto with like people clipping Gainsey clips and Thread Guy clips. Those always end up really getting engaged with a lot because they tend to be very quotable and interesting. And like you said, I mean, the more video and audio, just general content that you put out as a team, the more like this is available to clippers to actually work with. I think the higher your chances of getting something that ends up like really viral or really touching with people. So the name of the game is just to produce a lot of content, I think, in a lot of ways these days. And then obviously definitely get it clipped.
Yeah, and I think with a consumer app, getting people's reactions or winning or just anything in general goes a long way.
For
All right,
sure.
so Jeff, let's ask you this now. All right, so talk to us about some of the you finally got into the iOS store, and now you're running campaigns. Talk to us about some of the campaigns you're running right now. Currently, I believe there's some competitions going on where actually let's put this up right now for those that are watching. Shout out to the 2,400 people tuning in. Let's see. Virtual trades, fierce competition, real prizes. Join now. $10 in credits. Prove you can trade or prove you can't. Swap Royale. All right. So talk to us about some of these incentives that you're allowing people for new users.
Yeah. So right now, if you sign up, once you verify, you sign up with one-time password via your email, and then you can verify your phone number on the homepage. And from that, basically essentially verifying you're not a bot. You get $10 in credits to start competing in these contests. And this week, there's 10,000 worth of guaranteed prize pools. 14 paid contests. Entry fees range are either $5 or $10. There's also 6 free contests with close to 1,000 in credits being given away in those free contests. And the idea being is to onboard, in this sort of hyper growth phase that we're starting to go into as a project here, is to onboard as many people as possible, get them trying out the app, hearing feedback, in general, just getting it, because there is a learning curve where this is something different that isn't necessarily super people might not necessarily be super familiar with. So we need to onboard people, incentivize people to onboard so they can test it out, try it for themselves, enter in free contests, potentially get more credits. But yeah, big thing at this point are these sign up credits, as well as for referrals. If they refer somebody who's eligible, they also get $10 in credits, and then they get 2.5% of their first degree referrals entry fees, as well as 1.25% of their second degree referral entry fees.
Damn, that is amazing. So walk with us. Oh, actually, for those that don't know, every show as well, one of the benefits about being a lead sponsor, we play a little clip, 60-second clip on every show. Since you guys are on, why don't we just play this together? What do you say, Jeff?
No, let's do it, Bill.
Let's see what we got. Let's see. What do I want? Which one I want to do? Because there's a bunch of bangers. We're going to play this one. Okay.
Better. Prove it. Daily trading contest. Choose your way. Same start, just skill. Be first. This is the real path to win. Every contest, guaranteed. Real money, not chips. Invite friends and earn rewards.
Banger! Whoa!
All right.
I want to take 2 laps, take some TRT, baby, and then go on a Swap Royale, baby.
My man.
That was a really good video, by the way. Is that like someone on your team who does it?
No, it was a studio called Relate.
Wow, soft shield to Relate. That was really good. Literally, you guys are going to have 20 episodes. Viewers, you guys are going to be seeing that clip every single stream. That's what happens when you're a sponsor. And dude, that was a dope. We'll mix them up because you have some other good ones too. We got some more time though, Jeff. All right. So next week we're gonna dive deeper into the gameplay. We're gonna open up the app. We're gonna actually just like showcase what it's like, the mechanics. So but that'll be next week. 2 things I'm curious to know. Number 1, why the push to base? What makes you interested in base? And number 2, and I like this part though, why no token?
Yeah. So on the base side, essentially, it's great to have obviously the layer 2 of a company such as Coinbase. There's super reputable. People know the name, and we're on base just because of the quick block time, cheap gas prices, and high throughput, with obviously sort of security and the name of Base, and then backed by Coinbase there. Coinbase is L2, and we're utilizing the CDP stack, and that's how we're able to use the embedded wallets. We're able to use the Paymaster, so essentially all gas is sponsored on the platform. We use Coinbase's on-ramp, off-ramp, as well as server wallets for allowing the distribution of credit. So essentially, the full stack is end-to-end Coinbase and Base.
And so, do you think? Okay, so then number 2, then token wise.
Yeah, token wise, I feel like there's been a huge shift that you don't need a token to survive, and I definitely feel that sometimes with tokens, you're battling 2 problems. You have the one of the token, and then you have the one of the actual platform. So we really wanted to just focus on the actual product, which is these large scale trading contests. Instead of worrying about a token and making sure the token holders are happy, we can really focus on just pushing out the best product to the consumers without needing that extra pressure that inherently comes with a token. Inevitably, the success of the project is always linked to the token. Like if the project's doing great but the token's doing bad, that's typically what all people will come back to. So we didn't want to have to worry about any of that, and we just wanted to have the blinders on and focus on the product fully.
What do you think about that idea, Big D? No token.
Yeah, I like it too. This way, people, referrals are obviously going to hopefully be a big part of our distribution and go to market. And I think it's a lot easier to ask people to check out an app that doesn't really have a financial, a token financial incentive involved. It's just an app that you go and enjoy and play. Like Jeff said, very minimal downside. You enter a competition, $5-10, unlimited upside. I think it's just better not to have to worry about appeasing a token price. It just makes it a lot easier to distribute and to share.
Yeah, I was telling Jeff too the first time we spoke. I think it's a very smart idea. There's pros and cons to everything. I think it makes sense in the agentic agent space. I think that absolutely makes sense because it draws attention to the project. But in the consumer app, you don't necessarily even need it. And one of the thing is the most important thing in the consumer app is the gameplay experience. You have an actual product. That's your marketing arm, your actual gameplay. And I think if you throw in a token, the moment the token drops, right or wrong, they're going to think less of your project if it drops. It just is what it is, and they won't base it on the actual mechanics of it. So I think you're on to something. So both of you guys, listen, we have over 3,100 people. Again, Swap Royale is the lead sponsor of the show, Late Night on Base, for the month of May. We'll be doing this actually same time, a segment every Monday at this time. We're going to be diving deep into different segments. So last words, guys. Jeff, the floor is yours.
No, I appreciate you having us on, and I appreciate all the listeners. So yeah, please, if download the app, check it out, get a free $10 to play around. We have 10,000 in guaranteed prizes and guaranteed prize pool this week. Enter a few contests. The Friday subsidized, where it's a $10 entry fee, max 100 entries, $1,500 prize pool with first place taking home $400, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, no, give it a check out, and please, if give us feedback and let us know. We want to build out the best product that's the most entertaining, engaging, and social, inherently via competition that it can be. So please, we're all ears for feedback, good and bad. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And we'll be tweeting out later after the show. We have a few clips coming. I'll tweet out the invite code as well, so more people can check it out, because I really dig what you guys are doing. And like I said, the team behind you guys, your team is top notch. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had you on, and I wouldn't have agreed to do the sponsorship. So Big D, Jeff, my friends, thank you for coming on the stream.
Bill, a pleasure as always. Definitely.
Always a pleasure. All right, we'll be doing this more often, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love it. All
Have
right,
a great one. Thank you.
All right, that is the team from Swap Royale. check them out today if you guys haven't done so already. The QR code is right here. It's free to sign up. Plus, they're giving incentivizing credits, so please do that as well. We'll be tweeting that as well. So check them out. All right. Now let's talk the virtual ecosystem. And like I said, the virtual ecosystem is what I'm kind of new with. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Johnson GitLab is pumping. The GitLab is pumping. I saw that Sam Altman responded or something. I think instant 60% candle. And shout out if you guys haven't seen that episode that I did with the GitLab team. It's on Spotify. And like I said, if you're on my show, I'm now your biggest fan because that's just how we do at Late Night Base. Anyways, the virtual ecosystem, I faded all last year, right or wrong. But guys like 100x Darren, who I had on as well, killed it. And like I said, I've had Sybil on, think highly of him, and I started diving into it, and I'm realizing, oh shit, this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big ecosystem. And I love the fact that they're gearing towards the agentic space as well as the robotic space. I think that's going to be big. I just picked up some, I'm in the trenches too, bros. I picked up some Vader. Sounds that they're going the robotic space. Hopefully they can, massively catch up. But I'm really interested in the virtual ecosystem. So I wanted to reach out to the Reppo team. And RG just got funding, I believe, for $20 million. So without further ado, you guys don't want to hear me talk. You 3,000 people tuning in, you're like, bro, let's get the main event on. And I agree. Let's do it. RG from Reppo. How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, British accent? Where are we from? Where are you from?
I'm originally from. I grew up between Nepal and South Africa, but I live in Vancouver in Canada right now.
Oh, very Stanley Park, really good place. I like it. Anyways, though, welcome to the show, man. Pleasure to meet you. We have 3,200 people tuning in. I really wanted to reach out to you and have you on the show because number one, congratulations, man. You're doing really well. How does it feel to be one of the top projects in the virtual ecosystem?
Yeah, we're grateful. I think that's all I can say. We work. I think one of the things about virtual is just that I think the core contributors there work like they grind a lot, in the background, and while maintaining the degenness. I think that's kind of like the hard thing. And constantly innovating, trying, and I think we kind of picked up a little bit of that where it's we're constantly adapting, shifting, like how things are evolving, but then at the same time trying to have some fun. So
yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you have communities is saying you're doing a great job, and you guys are. So listen, this portion is going to be, like I said, every guest that comes on my show, we make a podcast episode, put it on Spotify, on YouTube, we distribute it because the only way this industry grows is we get outside our little crypto bubble and we get the real world in. Otherwise, we're just stuck in this circle. So for those that may have never heard about Reppo for ever, and you're coming across you, RG, for the first time, why don't you just explain what is Reppo?
Reppo is a platform today. Of course, it's a protocol, but it's a platform where we use prediction markets to source AI training data. And the main difference is that the training data we're creating has weights at the data set level. So essentially, you can know the data quality on the go in real time instead of having to benchmark it later on. We also do that, but the crux of it is that you basically are sharing your preferences, which you're doing already on X or like any social media platform. You might have seen on every time you talk to ChatGPT, it's asking for, which one do you prefer? Or even today, in the last 2 months, X has now launched like thumbs up, thumbs down, which is different from the like option, right? And so the reality is that all your this podcast we're doing or images you're sharing, all of that is sort of useful. But what is actually more useful is the evaluation on top of that, what people like and what people don't like, because that's tastes and preferences, that's really what matters. And so that's TLDR. Reppo pays you to give your preferences versus other companies just milk you for that.
So it's kind of like a rating system.
Not really. Yeah. I think the best way to kind of think about it is that when like let's take the ChatGPT example, right? When you're asking a question and it's like giving you two responses and like which one's better, and you're thinking like, oh yeah, I think I like the option A better. But what's ChatGPT doing there is like it's using that kind of response to improve itself, right? And that's happening at scale. But you actually paid to give them the response, right? In this case on Repo, what happens is someone is publishing the content in this case, and someone else is coming in and saying like, hey, I like this more, and we created a prediction market around that. So it's a prediction market instead of event-based outcomes. It's prediction market on quality, on the quality metrics. We're playing around like a lot. Like, so for example, right now we're working on a sports prediction market. So with the FIFA coming in, and so instead of saying that which team will win, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, did this player play better than the previous game? And when you think of that question, it's a subjective question. So you can't really. I mean, maybe you can try to create that market on Polymarket, but it really wouldn't work because the oracle is there's no like oracle to settle, right? But and so that's kind of like what Repo does. Is Repo creates a synthetic oracle which is based on a 48-hour kind of time period. And I can go into the details, but the crux is that it's a prediction market to assess quality instead of like a prediction market to assess the outcome of events.
It's very, very interesting, actually. And it's actually even more interesting to me as well because you're tapping into the prediction market aspect, and that's one of the hottest narratives currently as well. Let me ask you this: where did the idea come from? Like, do you have a background in AI, or did you just see an opportunity? What's I guess some of your background, RG?
Yeah, I worked for about 3 years on Filecoin at Protocol Labs. So that's where I came across the problem. Filecoin, for those who are aware, like in the weeds of the Filecoin ecosystem, there is this famous program or infamous program called Filecoin Plus. I wouldn't go into the too deeps, but basically it uses this governance mechanism to give you 10x of rewards, 10x of block rewards if you store quality data. So you can show up with all the clips from your show and say that, hey, I want to store this in Filecoin, and I think this is really high quality stuff. So just give me like 10 extra rewards for storing this. And someone will be like, okay, a bunch of people will vote on like we call them notaries. Like it was a whole system, and it was like there was a lot of debt in that system, in my opinion. And so that was the bane of my existence. We were trying to build MLAI models by collecting that data, but it was just super hard to incentivize. Like if I were to come to you and be like, hey, please give me all your videos because I'm gonna make like a super cool language model or like a video model, and you'd be like, okay, like what do I get? And I'll say like, oh, I'll give you some NFTs, and you'll be like, what? No. And so I think so that's kind of like where the idea came from the Filecoin ecosystem, and we realized that when Repo started out, if you look at like our news releases from like early on, we were initially doing things with DPINs. The DPIN meta, I mean, it's not the hottest right now, but also it's not about the meta. We realized that the problem statement was a lot bigger. And that's where the idea came from, where we realized that, okay, even if you build a decentralized storage network or a decentralized compute network, I mean, compute is a bit different. The idea of like understanding what is high quality and low quality is still subjective, right? I mean, you can try to bring some objectivity to it, but then the question becomes like, who is deciding what? And so I think like that's really where prediction markets come into play, where one way to do it is you say to people like, hey, if you think this coffee is good or like this data is good, put your money behind it, right? So yeah.
Curious to know your thoughts though, just on a separate topic with the prediction markets. A lot of people love it, but then there's a whole bunch of naysayers who are just like, it's just insider trading because obviously someone will know the outcome, and you see that's just kind of how it is. What's your stance on that?
I think it is true. I've been a big proponent of kind of like privacy-enabled prediction markets, like where you can play with ZK tech and essentially do things where, I mean, it becomes a bit less difficult in terms of like to attract the liquidity and traders, because you want to see live, right? Like if you're trading, you want to see like how the outcomes are, how the odds are changing. But there are ways to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, like what really matters is a bunch of people are predicting, and there's an oracle which will settle at some point, and as long as everyone's aligned that the oracle is correct, it should work. So I think there's a world there. But to a point, that is exactly the reason why we created a whole new kind of meta. We are not based on outcome-based events. Like the way Repo works is, if I take this, recording and publish this on Repo, which costs me money, by the way. So depending on which data net I publish into, I'm paying anywhere from like $5 to $10. So there's an entry cost, kind of like buying a lottery ticket. And then over the next 48 hours, people are saying like, I like this video, I don't like this video. And to do that, they need to log Repo and vote. And the market settles every 48 hours, right? And by doing that, you can what you can do is, even if there's insider trading, which we haven't seen much from on Repo stats, you can all verify this. But you still need to lock Repo, right? And so I think like that's kind of like the main thing. Like I think like our thinking is that the cost, the value accrue, there needs to be a cost associated with the opportunity cost, and then there needs to be like a real a cost in real terms. And I think as long as you can address both of those, then I think that you can actually address the insider trading problem. So and this goes for Polymarket as well. I think right now on Polymarket, you're only, if you bet with $5, you're kind of putting that $5 on the wager, but I think there isn't really like a big opportunity cost. And I think that's one of the big challenges, because that, like most of the volume is going to flow to like, the sports category or like the elections category. But if there was the volume distribution across different markets was a bit better, then I think you're incurring a higher opportunity cost, which in my opinion, and this is backed by some, if you look at like literature around prediction markets that's come out of Paradigm, they've shown that like when the volume distribution is a bit better across markets, people incur a higher opportunity cost plus a real cost, and that actually impacts like the amount of insider trading that can happen.
Very interesting, guys. 3,200 people. This is like some grade A alpha, my friend. I mean, I'm here just like listening, as like I host the show, but like I learn from my guests because this is interesting to me. So hopefully it's interesting to you. Well said, man. So I want to turn attention to your website, and actually for those tuning in to see it. So let's just share this real quick. And again, if you're listening to this eventually on Spotify, please head over to YouTube. We have all our replays on YouTube, obviously on X as well, but X doesn't have review storage capabilities. They should. Elon, if you're listening to me, you really should be listening to my show. You need to have that, please, so I can have replay value. But all right, let's check out your website. The network for AI trading data, Repo enables AI agents, physical AI, and humans to access high-quality, verifiable trading data on demand. Launch platform, explore docs, how it works. So one of the things that caught my eye too is this Repo fund, 1 million Repo fund. And I do want to get into as well the $20 million investment, because I think that's very important and it gives a lot of encouragement and hope to other builders. But let's start off with the Repo fund. What exactly is it, and like what builders can apply for it?
Yeah. So right now it costs about 20K Repo to spin up a data net. So just to kind of not go into too detail, but the 20K Repo, 50K stays with the builder, whoever starts up the data net, and then the other 50K is a fee to the network, of which 10% is burnt and 40% goes into a performance pool, which we'll use to incentivize stakers. You'll see the staking design on the top right. So that's the 20K Repo. Now, what we've seen is there's been a lot of people who've said that, hey, like I don't have the 20K Repo right away to put up, but I'm really interested in spinning up a data net and experimenting with what you guys are building. And so we were like, okay, as long as you can bring the 50% of that, so as long as you can bring the 10K Repo, because that's going to be staying with you locked while the data net is live, we'll fund the other 50%. And so that's what like the 1 million Repo fund is. It's not $1 million. I just want to clarify. We're not handing out $1 million. It's a 1 million Repo. And so if you look at 20K to spin up a data net, and our goal is to reach about 100 data nets by the end of the year. Hopefully before. So that's kind of like what the fund is about. We've received a bunch of applications. Some of them have been like okay-ish. I think like we funded a few. Like there was one around the sports data net. There's actually like a person who started themselves. They didn't apply for this, but they are like a filmmaker in Australia. So they have started one called Cineforge. And then there's been a few other people, who are experimenting with different types of data modalities. one person wants to experiment with drones, and they're like, hey, I have a drone. Do you think I can just like, start crowdsourcing and incentivizing people to collect drone imagery? And I'm like, yeah, as long as you are aware of the rules and regulations for flying drones in your locality or city, go ahead. And so I think like that's what the 1 million fund is about. And also happy to dive into the $20 million capital commitment. So the way the capital commitment works is we are able to draw down from that like a line of credit LOC whenever we want to as we scale. One of the things that we've seen, coming back to your point of building privacy-enabled functionality, we think that's pretty critical to Reppo. So I think eventually we'll see like how if we can just use off-the-shelf solutions to mix and match on the current L2 base. But if not, we have potentially explored a design to like build our own chain, and mostly because of the privacy enabling reasons. Because I think that as prediction markets scale, of course you need like infrastructure to scale for volume and instant settlement, and you also need that the privacy enabled features. I think so far we've seen like Zama launch, and like there was maybe like one other plug and play privacy solution, but we just haven't seen them be like as cost effective and scale to like what Base has been able to scale. So I think for those reasons we will draw down from that like line of credit and that capital, and then we're using part of that capital to like provide some price stability. We're using part of that capital to do buyback from like whales if they want to just OTC us. So really, I think like those are some of the uses for that. But this kind of gives us a longer multi-year runway without having to worry about the day-to-day volatility. The person before I was listening, right? Like it is true that a lot of teams are worried that like their success will be associated or like judged based on the token. But I personally think that it's equally important to build the entire economy around the token. Because if someone is coming to and questioning like what does the token do or how does it accrue value, I personally think like if you don't have a good answer, then I think there's like it's almost like dishonest as a builder to like ask someone to like invest in your project and buying your token, because the governance token doesn't work anymore. So
yeah, I mean, there's no right answer. I mean, there's definitely the very big pros to having a token as well. I mean, it's the easiest way to incentivize holders to use your product and become the biggest brand evangelists. And I don't think Reppo would. We did that as well with late night on base. We had a creator coin with the whole Zora meta, and I hit top 10 in Zora, and at that point, people actually cared about my show. Like, yes, people care. I get numbers, but I understand like they don't really give a shit. But if you give a financial incentive with the token attached, they become your biggest brand evangelist. So I do understand that. And you see what happens when your price is going up. You get a large amount of supporters. Let me ask you this before we have to wrap things up. So with the capital allocation that you got, I found that very interesting because I haven't seen too many projects get that kind of funding, especially in the AI agentic space. So in a way, you've given a lot of hope to other builders that they too can secure capital if they commit. What do you think was the biggest attribute for you to receive that funding in the first place? Was it your pedigree? Was it just the product? Or what advice would you give other builders looking to get capital from a VC?
I think the main thing is coming to launching a token and launching on Base with like a working product. I think like since like we launched November 21st, we've shown consistent usage, all verifiable on chain. If you go to repostats.com, we have like I think like almost like 230 million in locked repo trading volume, a lot of like repo logged. And so I think like three things: like token utility super clear, you have a working product, and you just like are actively communicating with the community. And I think they're growing with you, right? I think that's the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, I think like investors are looking for that. They're looking like, okay, like you started from zero in like 5 months, 6 months, you have 19,000 holders all organically. And then they are able to see like the stickiness of it, right? Because I, as a founder, believe that the token is a product, it's a separate product. And then you have like, the main product that is accruing value. And you need to be very intentional about that. So I think like that's what I would say. I think that, for a while, 2024, when market was better, everything was better. I think people were launching a token with a promise, and then they would like eventually like people were like, it's like you're buying into like a vision. I think the reality is like, with AI, building things is really quick. Like I mean, you can still tell me that, you know, you're going to build the next Salesforce or whatever big company, and maybe if you have a great pedigree, like super successful pedigree, maybe ex-founder, then you can. But I would just say that it's like, you know, like just come with a working product, make sure it, you know, people are winning on a daily basis. I mean, right now, people are able to earn $1,000 US every 2 days on Reppo, right? And I think we were able to come up with a thesis, not just like have a white paper for 5 months and like try to like, you know, convince people and keep it like stealth. That's one way to do it. I just didn't want to do that way. And you know, people have just actually grown. You know, there are posts on X where people say like, hey, like I've made like, you know, I've converted $30 into like, you know, $3,000 by playing into your prediction markets, which, you know, I think that brings me like a lot of joy. But I think that is what someone sees, you know, and say like, okay, like this thing can become big. This is a new meta. These guys are introducing a new primitive in the market, and I think that's when like large capital follows. That's
I think that's incredible advice. I think for those builders, most people in crypto who are building want to see that level of success, whether it's through a token, also the VC investment. So well said, RG. And I think we're gonna. By the way, by the end of this show or later today, by the end of tomorrow, we'll have 3 clips made for the stream. We're definitely going to clip that as well. So we'll share it on all socials and tag you guys. But listen, we got to wrap things up, RG. Yeah. But, you know, we have 3,300 people tuning in. I literally could speak to you for another hour. It's that fascinating. Any last words you have, my friend, for the viewers?
Last words. I think, well, just like my last word would be that, you know, I think on a base, especially, like it could seem like, okay, like every day, like there are like amazing launches happening. And so like everyone's competing for attention, liquidity, users. But I generally feel that, you know, like base feels like one of those like, you know, ecosystems and chains where it's not zero sum, you know, there's everyone can like, you know, like kind of find their niche. And so I just think that if anything, just like try to get out of that zero sum mentality and, you know, positive sum game. And I think if you can kind of do that, especially in a bear market, I think, you know, the better market conditions will reward you handsomely. And just as a builder, it's just like a healthier way to live, I think. But that's all I have to say.
Incredible, my friend. Dude, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, everyone. That was RG from Reppo. Wow, really great knowledge that was just packed on in that episode. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. But 3,300 tuned in today. Appreciate each and every one of you. We do this Monday through Thursday, noon PST. We'll probably have to start doing this maybe an hour earlier going forward, but doesn't matter. We are here consistently showcasing the best and brightest builders, not just on base, but all of crypto, AI, tech, on-chain, and consumer apps. This episode has been brought to you by Swap Royale. If you guys haven't done so already, please do download the app, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a good show. We have Emily Jr. on. In case you guys didn't know, he's been cooking, and he's been one of the OGs in this space. So tune in for that. Your boy Bill. Peace.